Hello, my name is the Gammajack and I've just started posting on YouTube. My previous video was the Lords and Heroes video. I'm going to do a little bit on special characters because I will have explained in the previous video, but I've split them into regular Lords and Heroes and special characters purely because the actual box standard Lord and Heroes are the things that people are mainly going to use, and as I explained in the previous video, is what I believe Games Workshop are actually gearing you to do in this book. I don't think you're meant to use the special characters that much unless it's a big, characterful clash, like the mega games they have at Games Workshop. At least I hope so, because I do actually find them quite underwhelming in this book. At this point, I will say that although I try not to be biased, I actually really dislike special characters in general. The reasoning I hate that is because usually they're overpowered, but in this case I weirdly don't like them because everyone else's are overpowered to some extent, and these ones they've been oh so reasonable in what they've given them, which means that the ogres will still have difficulty because everyone else still has things like, Abaddon and that massive dwarf king which just won't ever die, and Teclis and things like that, whereas you just get a fat bloke on a throne who doesn't do anything for the same, ish amount of points. Okay, so let's kick it off with said fat bloke. It's Greaser's Gold Tooth. He's got loads of different titles and things which I'm not going to go into. When they said, this beautiful 113 page book, they didn't mention that probably 2 of those pages can be filled just with Greaser's Gold Tooth's names. The basic idea of him is the Ogre Tyrant. He runs the whole shop when it comes to ogres, and the way he got to the place he is by beating up other tyrants, which makes sense, in a society in which you do well by bullying people. The Ogre Tyrant should be the most bullying. Okay, my issue with it is that actually it isn't as strong as a normal tyrant. I would actually, I'll go into it later, but I'll explain why. But I actually think that if you were to just buy a tyrant with a great weapon, which comes out as under a third of its points ish, I think you might actually win, which terrifies me. Okay, anyway, the good points about him is you can put stupidity on enemies. D3 a turn and get stupidity for their turn. This is quite good, although it does only have an 18-inch range. It can be good on things like night goblins, regular goblins, humans, because you can disrupt them. You can stop them from making a charge, or you can just make them bimble forward instead, and so delay them for turns and turns. That's the theory behind it. Most armies have the BSB now. Most armies have leadership 8-9 characters in big units that they want to do things for most of the game. I think that the day of stupidity is gone, really. I've seen numerous people play with Cold One Knights of different armies. I very rarely see them just sort of bimble forward. It's not a massive issue anymore. My next good point about him is it's easier to win combats because of his special rule, and in addition, units around him auto-rally. So basically of ogres that shall know no fear. The first part of that rule I think is stupid. The second part of it, the auto-rallying, I quite like. It basically makes him almost a battle standard, but a sort of retrospective one, which is rather than stand your ground, man, it's all come back and help me, which will do, to be honest. The main reason I think people do take BSBs a lot of the time is just so when you get shot at, you don't lose your units. The easier to win combats thing, you get +1 combat res in any combats nearby greasers. Ogres win combat by beating people up. If he'd had a profile which was in line with other ogres, other tyrants, then that would have been excellent, because it would just been a case of I get 5 attacks and then I beat you up badly, and then you get an extra one as well, just to show you who's boss. That doesn't happen. He actually has 3 attacks. His 3 main attacks count as strength 10 and cause D3 wounds, which is quite nice. It means he's basically hitting you with a cannon, from the old rules. But the downside of that is that his weapon steal is 6. If you're fighting against characters, which is what it's designed for, then who cares? The weapon steal 6 thing means that if you've got 3 attacks, probably gonna miss 1 or 2. And then after that, most characters have a ward save. And if you're hitting rank and file people, great, you're paying 600 points to whack them with strength 10 for some reason. The last thing is his unit is immune to psychology. I'm not fussed. Ogres have fear. That means that at the very most they'll be taking fear tests from psychology, and they already have low weapon steal. It's not stopping you from hitting on 3s. Worst it's doing is making you hit on 5s, and a lot of people hit you on 3s anyway. Yeah, I'm not fussed. So generally I would say my problem with him is that he has massive expense in comparison to his written down effectiveness. I may be completely wrong. I may be. I don't want to be biased, but I really do think they dropped the ball with this character. He isn't as powerful as a normal tyrant. You pay, I won't tell absolute figures, but a regular tyrant is somewhere in the region of 200 points. You pay somewhere in the region of 600 for greasers, and I just don't think it's worth it, I'll be honest with you. That leads me on to my next character, Strag. I like Strag quite a lot. I think they came from a much better place and they're making Strag than when they made greasers. Basic idea of Strag is he was a slaughter master who upset his tyrant, so he cut his hands off and threw him in a cave. I quite like that story, to be honest. It's very true to life. Don't upset people. As a result of being thrown in the cave, he managed to make friends with loads of gorgers, basically. And so his character is a level 4 caster for the Great Maw, who in addition, when he manages to kill people in close combat, when he has frenzy and killing blow, when he does hurt people in close combat with his 5 attacks, him and his gorgers get special rules, which meant initially, if you kill 1 person with Strag, any gorgers that haven't come in yet are sort of summoned onto the battlefield in the next turn. If you kill about 5, then it adds an attack to the gorgers. 10, the gorgers get hatred. 15, they get regeneration as well. So on paper, that means that it's almost like the pain token thing with Dark Eldar. You can end up having ridiculously powerful gorgers. And that's not only it, because Strag also allows you to take more gorgers than you normally would. You can now take units of 1 to 2 if you have Strag rather than just 1, and you ignore the duplicates rule from the rulebook, which means you can just fill up whatever special you have with gorgers, which is awesome. The unfortunate thing is, I do think that generally armies are able to kill gorgers faster than you can kill things with them. Whether that's the case when you've got 2 of them in a squad, I don't know. Also the fact that you've got to somehow run Strag up when he has terror, which is a good thing, but if people are fleeing from terror units, he's not killing them. So that means it's quite difficult for you to get those rules in the early half of the game. In fact, I would say you're likely to probably, at the most, get the plus attacks with the Gorger. Having said that, if you're running a lot of Gorgers and then for free they're getting loads of extra attacks, I don't mind that. You're paying more, you're paying about 400 points, whereas a regular Slaughtermaster is somewhere like 280-ish, 300. I went too close then to what the actual thing is. So actually, I think you're paying just a premium enough for it to be a good character. Far superior as a Lord choice to Greasus, in my opinion. Please comment and tell me I'm an idiot and tell me what you think. Okay, on to the heroes. Goldfag, 200, 300 points. He doesn't really have any special rules apart from the fact that his man-eaters, because he's a big man-eater captain-y bloke, must have, I think it's Stubborn and Vanguard, and he must sit with them at all times. That's good and bad, because a lot of people will probably want Stubborn ones anyway, but as I'll explain in my special units video, I personally don't think that's the optimum combination. I'll talk for a few, obviously. I won't just say this is my thought, anyone else is a moron. I won't do that. But I don't personally think it's a particularly good combination, and I also don't like the idea of having your expensive 200-ish point, 200, 300 point man stood really close to your enemy. I don't like that, because you can't charge in the first turn if you oh no, I've got that wrong, sorry. Vanguard just makes you move forward, so actually it could be good. Sorry, I've just wasted 20 seconds of your life. Maybe that's good, but still, you're running up this unit into someone's face. They're going to shoot it down. The other thing is that you get to roll 2 dice. I'll just roll them now. Okay, I got 4. What does that mean? That means I can spend 10 times that amount on magic items for gold bag. That's quite good, because that means that you can only buy common magic items, but you can get yourself some Fencer's Blades, or I don't know, Helm of Discord if you want to go after characters, things like that. Terrifying Master V if you want to run up and scare people. But yeah, it could work quite well. I like that rule. The only problem I have with it is that you could just buy a bruiser, you know you're always getting 50, and there's never the fear of 1, 2, 3 or 4, and he would then be a lot cheaper. Last character, Brag. Brag, I despise with a passion. I'll say that right now. However, I will talk through his good points. The basic idea of Brag is that he's sort of an executioner type bloke. He goes around this massive scythe, killing people who have wronged him in some way, or wronged the ogres, or just whoever he's paid to go and kill. As a result, he carries this massive scythe around and gives him +1 strength at all times. However, he needs to hold it with 2 hands. So basically it's an inferior great weapon, but it is magical. Not that matters much these days. If you kill someone in a challenge with it, then the unit that you were fighting gets disrupted. Disruption is the posh word for meaning you lose your rank bonus for a turn. Also, while you're in that challenge, you get heroic killing blow, so you're quite likely to kill people. This is excellent on paper because it means you can just go around, lop him one person's head off, and then units like Skaven lose their rank bonus, and I believe their leadership is based on their rank bonus. So against armies like that, then it's twofold effective. Against goblins, it's effective as well. Anything that relies on static combat res, which ogres have difficulty getting through, it will be really decent. Why I despise Brag? You can turn down challenges, and armies where they're not likely to be killing a lot of people have a cowardly backstory, and generals will know this when they've bought that army, and they'll probably go, fine, I'll just move them to the back of the unit, I won't bother attacking them this turn, because usually their characters won't be much cop. Any character where they'll go, yeah, I'll fight you, they're probably going to go before you because it's a low initiative. They're probably going to hit you harder because +1 strength isn't that good really. He's strength 6, but a lot of characters are. And he only has the 4 wounds and like light armor. So it's not out of the ordinary for a character to go, yes, okay, character killing specific unit. Yeah, I'll challenge you, and then beat it up in about 1 round of combat before it's got to do anything. Also, ward saves are quite prevalent now, so it's maybe not the best move. Anyway, I've easily gone over the time I think YouTube will allow, but thank you for watching. I've been the Gamma Jack, and welcome to my next video.